Hi, and welcome to my webinar. I'm so happy you're here and glad you're exploring the possibility of taking the first steps to utilize the skills you already have in human resources to create a side hustle or even a full-time job as an independent HR consultant. The purpose of today's webinar is really just to give you a realistic understanding of what it's like to work as an HR freelancer or consultant and also address any common concerns you might have as well. Before we get started, let me tell you a little bit about myself. My name is Kim Pierce, and I'm the founder of Truckee HR. 8 years ago, I left my traditional HR career I had been in for about 20 plus years to start my own consulting business. And today I want to share my journey to hopefully inspire others to do the same. I worked in as an HR director and VP of HR in various industries. Most notably, I worked at Starbucks and their supply chain, and then also at Amazon, overseeing various distribution centers. So I was climbing the corporate ladder. I was earning a great income, but the long hours, stress, and constant demands took a toll on my health and family life. I was missing out on important moments with my kids, and I really felt trapped in a golden cage. I was starting to get burned out on HR. I didn't know if it was a career that I wanted to continue with, but I also felt that I couldn't make as much money I was making if I restarted my career or went somewhere else. But while I was serving on the board of directors at a local boys and girls club, I met someone from a small school that was experiencing some HR issues. They didn't have an HR person. So she asked me if I could help them. I began helping them as a side hustle, and then this opportunity opened my eyes to the possibility of leaving my corporate job. After much hesitation, I mean a lot of hesitation, I took the leap and really threw myself into growing my consulting business. So fast forward to today, I've built a successful HR consulting firm, making more money, working less than half the time and living life on my own terms. So I set my own hours, I choose my clients, and I am present for my family. The flexibility is incredible. I get to enjoy the outdoors, which is something I'm very passionate about. I am back into all the hobbies and interests that I had before I started my corporate job, and I no longer wake up to an alarm clock. Well, most of the time I don't. So let's talk about why freelancing in HR is gaining popularity. I think that now's a great time to think about switching or leaving a 9 to 5 and either starting to freelance on your own or become an HR consultant as a side hustle. So, I started about 4 years prior to COVID in my business, and I really saw a huge change with COVID, meaning that my business really exploded. I was doing great before then, but really just exploded during COVID, believe it or not, and then after. But I think because of the remote work, there was a much bigger gig economy after COVID that a lot of small businesses understood that they really needed HR done. They didn't want to hire a full-time person or even a part-time person, but there were HR things that needed to be done at their company. So they looked to consultants or freelancers to help them do it. There's also a lot of flexibility. So you really can control your own schedule and workload. You're not limited to a 9 to 5 structure. You can choose your projects based on your availability and interest. Also, the income potential is really good. So freelancing allows for income scaling. Unlike a corporate job where there are salary caps or you're just getting, that 3 to 4% increase each year, you can charge higher rates as a freelancer consultant as you build expertise. You can work on a retainer or also expand service offerings. And then another thing is control. So you get to really choose the clients and industries you want to work with. This lets you align your work with your passions and strengths, making the work much more fulfilling. So what is a day in the life of an HR freelancer like? Well, it's not much different than working at a corporate job, but you don't have to work as much and you have way more free time and you make more money. So that's a huge difference, but there's a big variety of work. So you might spend one day, I spend days doing client intake calls, Other days I'm writing handbooks, writing job description policies. Maybe I'm doing HR audits for, a brand new client or somebody that sometimes I do them once a year for my current clients. So there's lots of variety in the work. There's also, like I mentioned, a lot of flexibility. My workday is very fluid. I fit my work around my personal priorities and not the other way around. So as a freelancer, you really can design your own schedule. But with all of that, you really have to be self-disciplined. It's crucial to maintain productivity, manage deadlines independently. So while the flexibility is great, you must stay organized. But luckily, there's great tools like Asana or Trello to really manage your client projects and keep you to those deadlines. So, what are the key benefits of freelancing? Like I mentioned, it offers a lot more control over your personal life and professional life. You can take time off when you need it without having to ask for permission. The income growth is unlimited. So your earnings are directly tied to the amount of work you take on and the rates you charge. And then there's a lot more potential to earn more than you did in corporate. The work is also very purposeful. So you get to choose clients and projects that align with your skills and interests. And I really love this about freelancing. It just leads to a deeper sense of fulfillment compared to corporate roles where you may not always, have a choice to align your skills and interests. So let's talk about some of the common concerns that you might have. And these are all concerns that I had myself. And then as I work with people that are also making the switch to freelancing or consulting, they have these as well. So it's not uncommon. So the first one is inconsistent income, or I won't have a steady paycheck, when in reality, it's possible to create stability with retainers and diversified income streams. So many HR consultants have retainer clients, which I do, which offers consistent ongoing work. So I have a core group of clients that every month they pay me the same amount of money. And I keep those. I'm right now, I'm not adding any more retainers to my work, but I do leave time for special projects because it's just something that I really love. So I have that core group of clients, and then I probably get about 2 to 3 new referrals a month where I'm helping clients or small businesses with specific projects with their HR needs. Another concern is finding clients. I won't be able to find enough clients is what I hear a lot. And reality, that's just not true. Networking offers value, and leveraging your expertise can lead to word of mouth referrals and a steady flow of clients. Like I mentioned, I get probably 2 to 3 new clients a week, I'm sorry. And sometimes I even have to turn clients away and refer them to other consultants because I just don't have enough time. But I do teach a 6-week course on how to become a freelancer. And we dive really deep into finding clients. So I'll just give you a couple examples of what I do. One is I'm a member of my local Chamber of Commerce. So that Chamber of Commerce is made up of small businesses. The majority of them don't have a dedicated HR person. So they will reach out to me and I handle that for them. Also, another great way that I get clients is through Facebook groups. So I join groups that have my target market in them. So I do HR compliance for small businesses in California. So I will join Facebook groups like San Francisco small business owners or LA small business owners. And I don't go in there and immediately sell my services. That would be very cringy. And I wouldn't like that. But so what I do is I go in and I see what people are posting, what are their questions? And HR always comes up. And so I lend my expertise and answer questions in those groups. And then I've gotten a lot of clients that way. They'll reach out to me or I'll get a message saying, hey, I saw you answered this question. I have this issue too. Please, can you help me? Let's set up a phone call. So that happens quite often. And then another huge way I get clients is ancillary services. So I partner with independent bookkeepers, people that are running payroll for small companies. insurance brokers that work with small organizations, and then also attorneys' offices. An attorney just referred a client to me. They had handled a wage and hour claim for this client, and they said, hey, you need to get your HR function in order. Work with Kim. She's a great HR resource for you, and she'll get you all set up. So I get a lot of that as well. Another concern is people feel like they're not experienced enough. Many people feel like they don't have enough HR experience. But remember, if you've been in HR for even a few years, you already have valuable knowledge that can benefit businesses. So you don't need to know everything. You only need to know more than the clients you serve in your specific area of expertise. So you're going to want to start by offering services in areas where you feel most confident. And then as you gain more experience, you can expand your offerings. And remember, you can learn and grow along the way. So as you learn a new skill by working with a client or handling a special project for them, then you can in turn offer that to different clients as well. Another concern is I don't have credentials, and you don't need to have credentials to be a consultant or a freelancer. While credentials, can add credibility, they are not necessary. Your professional experience, results, and recommendations from past work are often way more valuable than formal credentials. I don't have credentials. I am not SHRM certified. I do have a master's degree in HR, but I don't think my clients even know that. It doesn't matter to them, and that's fine. They're more interested in, what value I can lend to them and what problem I can solve for them. And then concern number 5 is I can't sell myself. So for many HR professionals, selling themselves can feel awkward, but it's a critical part of being an independent freelancer or consultant. And believe me, this was the part I was most afraid of when I started. I am not a salesperson, but it became so much easier when I learned to do it correctly. I actually took some online marketing courses, and I just learned, I knew I had value for my target market, and I knew I had 20 plus years experience. I just needed to learn how to package it all up and sell it. So I was able to do that. Let's talk about a couple misconceptions. One of them is that you need to know everything about HR, but this could be further from the truth. Usually freelancers or consultants will specialize in specific areas like compliance, performance management, compensation, training, recruiting, things like that. So you definitely don't have to know everything, but I think it's way more lucrative when you specialize in an area. And then another misconception is you'll always be working, and that's not true at all. It's all about setting boundaries. So as a freelancer, you can choose how much work to take on and when to turn it off. For example, I've set, very clear work hours and established expectations upfront with my clients that ensures I have time for my family and any personal interests. Skills you're going to develop as a freelancer. So as HR professionals, I think we already have a lot of these skills, but I think I've really honed in on them since becoming a consultant. One of the things is managing multiple clients. So you will definitely need to be able to juggle different demands, communicate effectively, and ensure expectations are met, which is really important. Another thing is business skills. So you're going to learn how to run a business, which I've loved it. It's been such a great learning experience for me these past 8 years. So it's from marketing to managing finances, setting prices, and even scaling services. So I had to learn, basic accounting, marketing, and some new tech tools when I first started. And then also you'll develop great problem solving skills. So freelancing presents challenges that require quick thinking and innovative solutions, especially when dealing with multiple clients. But I also think that as HR professionals, we're really good at problem solving. So it's a very easy transition. So on this slide, I just kind of wanted to give you an idea of the type of clients I work with. So like I mentioned before, I do California compliance for small businesses. So I focus mainly on them. I think my biggest client right now has about 140 employees, but the majority of them are under 50. And I even have some clients that have one employee, believe it or not. But kudos to them. They were starting a business. They have one employee. They wanted everything's set up in advance. So there would just be no issues with California labor laws going forward. So I love clients like that. Usually they call me when there's a problem and I need to fix, something that, like a wage and hour claim or a discrimination claim. So having them be proactive is awesome. So I've worked a lot with new startups, like I mentioned, where I help them build out the entire HR framework. So I put, the handbook, all the HR forms for California, the new hire packets, all of that, which is so easy for me to do because I already have all the templates. So it doesn't take me very long and I can charge a really great fee for it. Another client I've done with several clients, I've done coaching. So when I worked at Starbucks, I was really partnered with the general manager at one of the roasting plants that I worked at in HR. And I became great at coaching him. And so that's something I offer to business owners or people that are just starting a business or they've been in business for 20 years and they just want that extra leadership coaching that could really help them get them to the next level. So I do help them with that. And then I also, one that I just recently hired or started offering in my package of services is I do Bamboo HR implementation. I started working with Bamboo HR through one of my clients in I think it was 2016, 2017. And I really just loved the system and I became an expert at it. So now I offer implementation for Bamboo. If they do it through Bamboo HR, it takes about 6 weeks or so, 6 to 8 weeks. And I literally can do it so fast in a day or two. If they have very little employees, I can get it all set up. And my prices start around 1,500, 2,000 and up, depending on the number of employees and then which Bamboo package that they receive. So as you learn, like I mentioned earlier, as you learn and go through your journey, and you add more skills, you can always then market those skills for other clients. So it's constantly changing and becoming more lucrative as you gain more experience. So, what are the steps to get started in HR freelancing? The first thing when I work with some of my some HR professionals that want to make the transition, first I help them identify their niche, and we use that based on what their skills are, so and how they could translate into consulting or freelancing. So you don't have to be a generalist in HR. Specializing, like I mentioned before, can be very lucrative. So that's one of the things that I do. I have some cool AI tools that help you determine your niche, and determining your niche is so important because once you do have a niche, you need to then define your target market. So it really helps you do that. And then once you have your target market, then you can sell to those specific companies. The next step is building your brand and presence. So you want to create a professional online presence, and that includes a website and a LinkedIn profile, and then also social media. I don't necessarily do a lot of social media, but I do have a website and I am on LinkedIn. I haven't gotten a lot of clients through LinkedIn, to be honest, but a website I think is a must have when you first start. I think it just lends a lot of credibility and professionalism to your service. And to be honest, when I have my intake calls with new clients, they always tell me, "Oh, I looked at your website. Oh, I looked at your website." So they do it. And so I think that that's really important. And then another thing is networking. So building those relationships is key to finding clients. Attend those industry events, do webinars, use LinkedIn if you need to. And then previously in an earlier slide, I did talk about some of the things that I do to network and also find new clients. So how do you overcome the fear of starting? So that was the biggest thing for me. I knew I wanted to do it. I was so excited to do it, but it was just kind of making that leap and putting yourself out there that is really hard. But it is possible to transition slowly. So start freelancing on the side. That's what I did before quitting your corporate job. So take small, manageable steps and don't feel like you have to go all in immediately. Just start with one client or one project, and then you can grow from there. So, a couple of final thoughts. I hope this presentation, or in this presentation, I've successfully highlighted the many benefits of starting your own HR business, whether you're considering going full time or a side hustle. We've explored the freedom, flexibility, and financial opportunities that come with being your own boss, as well as just that unique satisfaction, creating something that is truly yours. And I've made sure to address some of the common concerns and fears that many of us, including myself, face when thinking about stepping out on our own. So, whether it's the fear of leaving the stability of a corporate job, worrying about how to find clients, or questioning whether you have the right skills to succeed, I understand those doubts because I had them too. But from my own experience, I can confidently say that overcoming those hurdles is absolutely possible. If I can do it, anyone can. And the path to independence as an HR consultant is achievable with the right knowledge, tools, and support. And I hope that today's session has given you the confidence to take the first step toward making that dream a reality. So if you are interested, I do have a course that I offer. If you're not ready for that yet, join my mailing list and I will send you tips and forms and resources that you can use and materials to get you started. So again, thank you for your time and good luck.